And we are on. Welcome to another episode of the Right Hook Pod. We got Ray and Justin here today. We're talking email deliverability, staying out of spam. There are a lot of changes going on. We want to make sure that your email still makes money, and for the email to make money, it's got to land in the inbox and be visible first and foremost. And we've seen a lot of accounts tank because of algorithm changes or rule changes on the platform. So a lot to talk about today. But before we get into that, boys, how we doing?
Doing great.
Nice.
Doing good. I just had a sick back workout. I'm going to be sore tomorrow, but D, I want to let you know that I row to grow today. Did 10 sets of rows.
10 sets of rows?
10 sets,
Yeah.
Wait, same exercise or different?
Same exercise, yeah. So I'm trying a
Bro.
program someone recommended to me. But yes, 10 sets.
Is it called the Hate Yourself by the Time You Leave the Gym program?
Yeah.
Jeez. Wait, how many? I gotta. You derailed this. I gotta know this now. How many exercises per workout? If you're doing 10 sets of one exercise,
yeah. So it's just 3 exercises. So the first exercise or whatever thing you do, there's 10 sets. Second one is 5 sets, and the third one's typically 4 sets. So what you're trying to do is trying to get 19 to 20 sets. Yeah. So it's not like 10 for both, but yeah. But what you do is you do 10 sets of 10 reps, and then next workout 10 sets of 8 or 9. Next one 10 sets of 6. So it's a really great way to break through plateaus. Apparently, what some guy told me. But I just hate myself. Leg day was terrible.
I was just gonna say.
I had a guy come up to me in the gym. He's like, "Dude, are you almost done with this?" I was like, "Bro, I got 4 more sets." Like, how many sets you do? And I was like, 10. He's like, "Holy crap!"
That's hilarious.
That is disgusting.
I can imagine someone walking up to you at the very beginning. How many sets do you have left? 10. All right. I'm just gonna go somewhere else then.
Yeah, I'm gonna go join another gym. I'm just leaving this gym.
What I decided to do is because a buddy of mine, Alvin, he's the CEO of Lucid, and he's been talking about just putting yourself just through some brutal things so that when you're facing high pressure in times like what we do in the agency sometimes, like it doesn't feel that much high pressure because you put yourself through really hard activities. So I was like, man, I'm just going to start brutalizing myself in the gym with safety though.
That's why the old school Soviets fought bears, right? So it's like,
yes.
I couldn't say anything now. I fought a bear. Hot damn. Oh, man. All right, let's get into this email thing. So for anyone that doesn't know or has been living under an internet rock, for most of the start of this year, what do you even call them? Email hosts, I guess? The Yahoos and the Googles of the world that own most of the world's at gmail.com or Google Workplace. There's been a lot of talk around just cleaning up the email landscape, if you will. So they've given out a bunch of fairly technical advice around like, you got to do your spiff and your DKIMs and your DMARCs. And I'm just having to look at our own email list and go, how do I do a spiff and a DKIM and a DMARC and a what now? What does that do for my what now? So, Justin, you run our entire email team.
Yeah.
Maybe you can lay the groundwork there and kind of break it down for numbnuts like me.
100%. Well, I mean, to put it plainly, a lot of people are just complaining that they're getting way too many emails and they're confused about how the hell did this person get my email in the first place? So that's the problem. What I mean by that is there's a lot of third-party apps out there that are basically using like special softwares. So if you visit a website, they're just pulling out your email. You didn't even have to consent. You're just getting a bunch of emails sent to you from this random website you sent to. So that's the problem that we'll call them ESPs, email service providers, like Gmail, Yahoo, face. So like you said, they're trying to hammer down on like, how do we reduce this so people continue to use our platform, so people continue to use Gmail. So obviously there's things that have always been around to tell, like how good is this open rate? How good is this click rate? But now they're authenticating through certain things like the DMARC. So if you didn't know, DMARC stands for domain-based messaging authentication. It's a mouthful. Just call it DMARC. But basically, it's just a way to authenticate your domain. So what I mean by that, if we're sending from righthookdigital.com, we just want to authenticate it through our domain using DMARC to make sure that these ESPs are like, oh yeah, that's a legit person, that's a legit company. Like, that's not spam. Because that's like an extra step that I guess a lot of spammers won't go through. Right. So,
right.
Do you do that through domain hosting, Justin? Like, how do you set that up?
Yeah, well, I don't want to get too much into the technicalities, but it would be through domain hosting. So for an example, if you have GoDaddy, there's an article you can look up online, and you can just basically link it to your domain, that DMARC, and authenticate. So you're basically like increasing your sending reputation.
So for the I can jump in on this one because I was the asshole that had to poke around and figure out how to get our DKIM and all those settings going. And we are on Google Workplace. So any one of you guys watching that are on Google Workplace, for example, as your primary like email host or your ESP, it's a really simple process because Google has all. So even though we have a separate CRM that handles our email sending, which is also, our newsletter gets handled that way, and our transactional mail too. But point being, on the Google side, if you're hosted on Google, it's a really simple process. Go through the help docs, and they'll just point you to exactly where to click and what to do on your Google for Business Workspace side. I think it's called Workspace or Workplace. And like, it's really dummy proof. Take it from the dummy that had to do it. So from a technical standpoint, there's your little walkthrough. Literally Google it because it's Google. Yeah.
But I mean, look, when it comes to that, it's very simple, like Dee had mentioned, to setting it up on your domain provider. But I mean, look, other than that, there's a lot of different variables that you can control to help make sure you stay out of that spam folder, right? That's like the main goal here. Like, you want to send to your email list of 100,000 people or less, whatever it may be. You just want to make sure that people are seeing it, right? Because that spam folder, that email promotions folder in Gmail, that's basically death. Don't go there. You want to stay out of there.
And can you get out of it though?
You can.
You get there.
You can. That's
why I want to bring this topic up, because I think we should brand this as the email apocalypse. So for on YouTube, Kim, email apocalypse, because there's so many brands that have been coming to me recently that have been saying, dude, like, my ads aren't working, my email isn't working. I'm like, well, what's your open rate? They're like, it's 6%. I'm like, well, that's a problem. It's like, how do you get out of the spam? Because like, seems like they're in there, they don't know how to get out of it.
Yeah, that's a great question. Honestly, look, with all the variables that you can do, I think the easiest to kind of manipulate and move are your engagement metrics, right? So what I mean by that is open click rates, your spam complaint rates, and your unsubscribe rates, right? So like, how relevant are the emails you are sending right now? Like, do they make sense? Are they adding value? Are they, relevant to what your brand is offering, right? That's for one. But let's say, for an example, I come across a brand that's already, having really bad deliverability issues, and they need to get out of it, right? Like, how do you get out of it? Right? That's the main question. Well, the first thing I would do is just make sure that the house is clean. What I mean by that is the DMARC is set up, like we talked about already. You have a dedicated sending domain. What that mean by that is like, you have a domain dedicated for email marketing. Make sure that's working perfectly fine. And then we run through the open rates, click rates, unsubscribe rates, spam complaint rates, all that stuff. I think this is a good chance for me to share my screen. Let me do that.
Yeah, nice. While you're sharing your screen, when you say have a domain dedicated for email sending, are you saying have a separate domain to my main one for email sending? Or are you saying if we're Nike.com, make sure that Nike.com is authenticated and then that is for email sending?
That's a great question. It would be the latter. So if you're Nike.com or whatever your business may be, you don't need to make a new domain. You just need to make sure that your domain is dedicated. It's just the term. The term is dedicated sending domain. I know that can be confusing, but yeah, your domain is set up the correct way so that it's basically authenticated.
Ooh, but let's just get another just for a second.
Yeah.
Is there ever a right time to have separate domains set up for email?
I think yes, that could be the case. For example, if you have a lot of outbound emails, like for wholesale accounts, I think it's important to separate your email domains for a wholesale account versus a just normal D2C account. And why I say that, when you message consumers and when you message wholesalers, right? Like you're going to see like completely different engagement rates, right? What I mean by that is consumers will give you higher engagement rates than wholesalers. And that's like the whole concept between B2B, B2C, right? Like if you guys look up what are the benchmarks for like direct to consumer versus B2B, it's completely different. So if you guys use the same domain for both of those, it's going to really mess up your deliverability score.
And so will it suffice for a brand that would like to do outreach to wholesalers or, to retailers to stock their brand, just outreach in general? Would it benefit them? Would it benefit them to have a completely separate domain, or would a subdomain suffice?
That's a great question. Wow, a subdomain actually would suffice in that case.
Amazing. So that way, all they have to do is do like a wholesale.nike.com or right. And then that would do the trick rather than have to, go to GoDaddy.com or any of those.
Make a brand new domain, purchase
and make a brand new domain, etc. So subdomain would suffice. Okay, great.
Yeah.
Clear.
Yep, I've said that several times, and especially if you're using like whatever platform it may be, Klaviyo, MailChimp, or what have you. I mean, even though you have a subdomain, like I definitely recommend like separating the accounts just for that reason as well.
I have a question. What about content types? Like, for example, there's a couple of brands that I've talked to recently that they have one arm of their business, they're actually selling a product. They have another arm of the business that's actually like a media company that they're making SEO, article content, and doing like affiliate stuff through there. So like maybe the same audience, but different use cases. The brand sells product that they own. The content site is the media company that sells like tips and things like that. Is there a situation that those should be separate? Because right now how they have it structured is it's a subdomain. I'm curious if that should also be different as the from sender field as well.
That's a really interesting question. I think I would honestly take that case by case, because my initial thought when you had brought that up is it could be the same account, just because they're providing value and information and then they're kind of tying that into the product, right? And in that case, like if you have the same audience and the audience like kind of falls in line with that, then I see no problem why not having that be the same domain, because the engagement rate should be the same. And I would bring it back to what you had said, right? Like that was my first question and you answered it right away. Like, do they have the same audience? Right. So yeah.
Sweet.
All right, you want to show us something?
Yeah, I was going to show you something. Let me share my screen. You're good. I'm basically just going to show you Klaviyo. So not every email service platform has this, like in terms of email service marketing. But what I'm showing you here is what Klaviyo believes to be your deliverability score. Now, why I say what they believe it to be is because we have Gmail, Yahoo, Hotmail. Basically, all of these email service providers have their own secret rules and score that they will not tell you about. Like, you will not know really if you're in the spammer inbox, spammer promotion folder, or like what your score is, what they score you. This right here.
Why that is? Like, I feel like that would help people to do better if they actually release that to companies.
Honestly, yeah, it definitely would help people be better. I feel like it would help, like, just in general, it would help both ways, because it would help us more relevant messaging, and it would help like their consumers, I guess, receive more relevant emails. I mean, I don't know. I wish they would share that. I think it just comes back to transparency, honestly.
I think Elon should just buy them all so he can release the algorithms of how things work. So Elon, buy Google, buy Yahoo. Actually, don't buy Yahoo. It's a terrible business.
Maybe I feel like it's just like a stalemate. You know, Gmail's like, we're going to do it if Yahoo does it, but no one's doing it.
Yeah. There's been some backdoor rooms like, you guys want to do this thing? Yeah, I guess we better do this thing.
Yeah. Well, look, this is Klaviyo's kind of, this is what we think your deliverability score is. We're going to give you the best estimate, right? So the reason I'm showing this is because these are the metrics that they showcase: open rate, click rate, bounce rate, unsubscribe rate, spam complaint rate. They scored out of 100. And then what's cool about this is you can see over time the growth. But really the point of showing this is just basically these are the variables that you can manipulate to make sure that you do have a reputable score and you're being sent to the main inboxes, right? Versus spam. So it's really important that we work to increase these as high as possible. Open rate should be anything above 35%, I think is well over the benchmark, but it's a really safe bet. What that has to do with is your subject lines, right? Like, are they enticing? Are they open-ended questions? Or using emojis? Like, are you really getting people interested in that headline or that subject line to click on that email and open it? Click rate, how relevant is the messaging once they open your email? Like, is it too text heavy? Is there call to actions? Do they even know that they can click on certain things? Bounce rate, that has to do with real or fake emails. What I mean by that is, do you have like a sign up form that's offering a promotion, like a 10%, 20%? And are people entering a fake email in hopes that they get the code without having to be annoyed by your emails?
Oh yeah. Right? My fake email is bobbylee@gmail.com.
And I really hope that's no one's real email, because he probably has. He's probably getting spammed out right now.
What the heck?
Yeah.
So I mean, all these subscription companies.
Yeah. No, I mean, like that's why I always recommend, like, if you ever have like a form that offers a discount code, the submission, like the confirmation message should say, check your email inbox. Because if you gave a fake email, you're not getting the discount code. It's a huge problem I see, actually, with a lot of clients that I work with. Whenever I see their pop-up form have a discount and the confirmation message gives them the code, their bounce rates, fucking 2%. Like,
wow,
double what they should be.
Totally.
Yeah. Unsubscribe rates. Usually unsubscribe rates and spam complaint rates kind of play hand in hand. What I mean by that is, like, they're caused by the same thing, usually relevant messaging, or most of the time over messaging, right? Like, are you emailing them like twice a day? Maybe you have flows, automation setup, and campaigns, but maybe they're sending and firing off at the same time, right? So it's important to turn on settings like smart sending to make sure that you're not over emailing. Typically, when I see unsubscribe rates are high, what I try to do myself is like turn on those settings to make sure we're not emailing someone within 24 hours of each other, right? So that's what we usually do.
Yeah. I'm so glad that you said that part too, because that piece of advice right there gives so much color and texture to the broad advice that a lot of email marketers give, which is there's no such thing as sending too much email, right? So, which you see on D2C Twitter a lot. And I go, I get what you're saying there, mainly because there are some brands that are very sheepish about sending email. But the color and texture that you're putting out there is the fact that it's really around the timing of, not necessarily the frequency. So if everything's sending at once, and now it's just a cluster bomb of just emails from this one brand, I think that's the point that you're making there, not necessarily just send something once a month.
Oh yeah, 100%. And I appreciate you expanding on that, because to your point, I mean, I'm not against sending like 4 or 5 emails a week. It really depends on the brand, right? But I will say, you kind of have to find that middle ground, right? Like, let's say, for example, we have a brand that sends 5 emails a week and their unsubscribe rate is less than 0.3%. I would recommend maybe try sending it 6 or 7 times a week. See how that affects unsubscribe rate.
Right. Relevancy of messaging, and like how engaged the audience is.
Exactly.
And that resonance that goes between the sender and the receiver, right?
And in inverse, let's say there's another brand that sends 2 emails per week and their unsubscribe rate, or let's say 3 emails a week and their unsubscribe rate is teeter-tottering between like 0.3 and like 0.4. I would say maybe dial it back a little bit for like a month. Let's see what happens. Let's just see what happens. I don't know. We don't know until we try. So that's kind of a variable that we can definitely manipulate in that sense. But yeah, so looking at this stuff, this is all good and well. This is what every email marketer knows for the most part. I'll give you some secrets that also Gmail and Yahoo look at. So typically Gmail, Yahoo, all those people, they look at these metrics, but there's some other things they look at to give you kind of a great score. So here's some things. First thing, do people reply to your emails? Right?
Is that like an average, you think, or is that just like in general, people like having a conversation with that domain?
So basically, the email service providers are looking for like who is an actual sender or like who is not spam. So in their mind, they think if you're replying to these emails, if you're engaging with it, very similar to like a social post in a sense, right? Kind of how TikTok, if you engage with TikTok, they understand like they're going to give more points to that post. Very similar to that. If you engage with an email, if you reply to an email, then they give you extra points, that domain, saying, okay, this is actual, like this is a good sender, right? Because people engage with them. Second to that, something that a lot of people don't talk about other than replying to the campaign or an email, forwarding an email.
So not from me, the brand, because I'll do the fake forwards all day long. You're talking about like the recipient doing forwards?
Yeah, I'm talking about the recipients forwarding an email to their friend, to someone.
Bruh, I am old enough to remember chain mail. I'm old enough to have received chain mail back in the day when it was like the memes of like, there was no socials back then. So it'd be the memes of the internet would be chain mailed. And then at the bottom would be like, share this with 4 friends who you think would be interested or something like that. So, right. Man, bringing back the forward.
My mind's just whirling, Justin. So, like, are there any strategies you've heard of to try to activate more forwards? This is the first time I've ever heard about this, like forwards being an important indicator.
Yeah, no. So this is something that I've been exploring recently myself. I was doing some research, and so for example, there's some email there's some email marketing platforms like MailChimp that have actually incorporated like a block function where it can forward an email if you click on it. So I'm saying that is because there's some platforms that are aware of this already, but Klaviyo is one of them that is not. So they're kind of moving behind on that. I feel like this strategy is fairly new in terms of the forwarding strategy. Very similar how the reply to strategy kind of became popularized in the last 2-3 years, right? So I think now forwarding is kind of up and coming in terms of the strategy because it's understood between these different ESPs that is a positive thing in terms of from your domain if your emails get forwarded.
Man, email forwarding is like the baggy jeans of email.
Yeah. It's full circle, hasn't it?
Yeah.
It's back.
It kind of reminds me of, well, you kind of touched upon it a little bit, D, where the chain mails, right? But have you seen those like social posts where it's like, send this video to someone who you think is, who you think is short.
Or tag a friend who needs to see this.
Yeah. But just taking that same concept and bringing it into the email space.
How about to have a brand say, we'll give you a free sample if you take this email and then forward it to this email address and say you're in. Like, it's so many extra steps. Do we think a consumer would possibly take that? Like, how can you make it seem quite native or natural?
Yeah. I've tried looking at some examples, and I know that like some brands have tried, refer a friend, but instead of like click on this, it's like forward this email to a friend you think would like this or something of that nature. Like, again, it's so new. I feel like people are still trying to navigate those strategies. Yeah, it's kind of tough. Like I'm even thinking just like memifying an email, just making it funny. Just like
I was just about to say exactly the same thing. Like, I think the content marketers are going to be able to win in that space, or at least the email marketers that have that kind of content marketer hat on, or have a buddy that's a content marketer. The ones who subscribe to the Seth Godin philosophy of marketing, really, which is, am I putting out stuff that is shareable, right? Stuff that someone will want to forward to their friend or their family member and go, see, I told you so. That type of information. So, the brand, for example, that has that media side or that content piece that's trying to educate or memify and entertain at the same time. And if that goes into an email, or if there's like, I don't know, industry news or like new science around skincare, that type of stuff, plus a bit of memification might be the thing to move that piece forward. But also at the same time, like, who forwards like meme emails anymore compared to like sharing on socials? I think that's the part that needs a bit of a cultural revival a little bit. Because if Ray sent me something that's like an email, like a meme or whatever, I'd be like, bro, I'll see you on Instagram. Like, what are we doing? Like,
get out.
Like, what are we doing in my inbox? Like,
it's so funny. The last time that happened to me, I worked in-house for an e-commerce brand, and there was like a sales director that worked there, and he was like quite older. And as soon as you said it, it reminded me of that, because there's like this show me and my wife love called Parks and Recreation. There's a character on there called Jerry that forwards them like cat memes and stuff. That's so freaking funny, because like that's the only person I think who would actually do that still.
Right. Yeah, right. So that's what I mean by like, it's the baggy jeans. Maybe baggy jeans might even be the wrong analogy. Maybe it's like bell bottoms.
Like pleated jeans. Pleated jeans would still do that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
man.
For sure.
I mean, but yeah, that's something I definitely want to sit down and think through some more. Like, what are some email forwarding strategies we can come up with?
So I want to hear about some of your other tactics, specifically because I've heard you watching just our meetings with our retention team. There's so many strategies you guys talk about. So for example, someone has a really bad open rate. You already mentioned subject lines. That's how you fix it, repair it. But what about click rates? And then after that, what about like spam or unsubscribe rates? Are there any tactics or strategies you have found to control that or to try to minimize that?
Yeah, definitely. What I see a lot of the time is brands' emails. They have way too many links. What I mean by that is you open up the email, there's a header, there's like, shop our new collection, shop our restock, shop sale, shop this. And then the email goes on to talk about, let's say, I don't know, a food recipe. I actually just saw this recently. I opened the email. I'm like, I don't know what do you want me to do? Like, it's not clear to me. There's too much information here. I'm just going to close this. I don't know what to do here. So it's being more clear and concise of what you want your audience to do. I always tell my clients as well, like, I want you to treat your emails like you're emailing like a child, like a toddler. Be very simple with your thoughts, clear and concise, so that they understand like what you want them to do. Right? So what I mean by that, recently we had a teaser email for a new product. There was only 2 CTAs. You open the email, 1 call to action, add to my calendar, some more information underneath, another button, remind me, or I want to know. So it's 2 CTAs, one on it's only like it's a short email. So it's like 2 scrolls, but it's a CTA on each scroll. And it's very clear where we want them to click and what we want them to do. What I'll do a lot of the time when I work with a new client, I'll just remove that like header with all the buttons on it. I don't know why brands love to just incorporate that in all their templates. Take it out.
I think why, because you see these big blue chip companies, like, I don't know why I'm thinking of it, but like you get an email from like H&M or Express.
Nordstrom or something, yeah.
So so they mimic what they see, right? But you have no idea how well that email performs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also at the same time, a lot of the larger retailers, their digital strategy really is almost like a wholesale port over from the catalog days, where they're trying to mail out a catalog and just show them all the products that we have and then just send it out, and we have enough volume to come through. And also they're Nordstrom, they're H&M. They have a few liberties that they can take, I think, that small D2C brands can't. But yeah, treating it like a catalog, I completely agree with you. As a consumer receiving an email that is sent out like a magazine, where it's there are ads in there, there are also articles in there, and then it bunny hops between giving me like ab advice to hair advice to like bedroom advice, and I'm going, but also selling, like men's magazines where it's like, last longer in bed, but also at the same time, buy these track pants. It's like, wait, what? Like, okay, I'm out. And I'm out is the place we don't want to be. Or to go, I'm out, and next time this brand sends me an email, I'm not even in. Because I think that's the other part that I'd love to, for us to explore a little bit here, which is, I think a lot of marketers think the copy, the subject line, the click rate, the body, the links of that one email, and hone in so far that they forget that they're setting a tone for the next email and whether that one gets opened or not. So if this one, they can get clever and smart and all that, but after 4 or 5, pattern recognition starts to set in, right? That's what we do for most of the stuff that shows up in our inbox. And it's like, oh, that brand again, it's going to be another confusing message. The first one was like that. The next one's going to probably be the same. Yoink. And then it gets moved into the folder you don't want to get moved into.
Yeah. I think a lot of brands try to include too much on one email. What I mean by that is like,
right.
Let's say, for example, there's a fitness brand and they sell exercise workout plans. They, on one email, they include everything about how to get fit in six weeks, the program, the exercises, the food you should eat, the products you should use. That can be used, that right there that they put in one email, that can be 6 emails. That can be 7 emails. Like, that's where it gets confusing at times, because we say campaign, people think like one singular email. But sometimes when you say campaign, it could be like a campaign for a topic that is spread apart over a series of time. Right? I think that's important to note, because to your point, if you're giving me everything on this one email and there's just way too much on it, like, why should I even open the next one? Like, I feel like I'm not conditioned in that sense. It's important to condition them too.
Yes.
Right? Same thing with the analogy I made before. Like, it's just, you're spoon feeding a child in a sense, right? Bit by bit. So using that same analogy.
I always wanted to know, long emails versus short emails. I know that's like a pretty boring topic, but for me, anytime I see anything long, like a long landing page or long email, like I'm automatic, like I'm not reading all this. Yeah. Is there a merit to click-through rate on the length of an email?
Oh, that's a tough question. I want you to know too, if you think an email is long and you're looking at it your desktop, imagine how long it is on your phone.
Yeah.
It's like double the size. So keep that in mind when you're creating emails. It's hard to say, because there is some merit to that. I think your email should not be that long, because it's not just the length in terms of someone's attention span. It also affects the length of the size of the email. Like, if it's too long, you probably have a lot of images in there. What happens is when someone clicks on it, it takes a while to load and open. And that instantly makes people lose interest, or when the size is just way too big anyways, right? So I think it's important to note, like, when you have a long email, which can be fine every now and then, how does the text look, right? Like, do you just plopped all the text there in one paragraph? Or did you use infographics? Did you use images? Did you break apart the text in different sections? How does someone digest your information that you're providing them? Right? I think that's really important to note, because I've had long emails in the past that have performed well, but they were long because we broke up the text. We made it easy easily to digest, right? Easy to digest. So,
okay. I would love to hear, what are some strategies people can employ to get less unsubscribes? That's what everyone wants. Like, how can I send as many emails as possible, but not get docked on my unsubscribes?
segmentation. I'm going to assume like if you want to send a lot of emails as much as possible and you're still receiving a lot of unsubscribes, I'm assuming that you're just sending to your entire list every time. That's my assumption initially. Obviously, that may not apply to everyone. But when I say segment your sends, I want you to create a highly engaged segment. What I mean by that is, we'll call it engage 30. I want you to make a segment and you show me everyone on your entire email list. So let's say you have 100,000 people on your email list. Create a segment, someone who has, if anyone has clicked an email in the last 30 days, has opened an email in the last 30 days, and these are all like separate from each other. So they've clicked or they've opened or they've made a purchase or they've added to the cart or they've visited the website in the last 30 days. Anyone that's engaged with your website or your emails in the last 30 days, we'll call those highly engaged. Of your 100,000, it'll probably be 15 to 20. That's typically what I see. It's usually like 20% of someone's email list. That's a rough estimate. Send to that list and tell me what your engagement rates are. Because I guarantee you they will be a lot. They will be more than double what you're already sending.
So how do you help them mentally, emotionally? Like, but I have like 80,000 more people I can send to. Like, how do you help with that narrative? What's the conversation there?
Yeah, the conversation there is honestly storytelling, right? I had a brand, and most people flip when I say this, but I tell them sometimes sending less makes you more revenue. Most of the time someone will say, what do you mean by that? That doesn't make any sense. Like, the more emails I send, the more money I make. Sure, that makes sense in the short term, but in the long term, if you send less emails, your engagement rate will increase. Your deliverability score will increase. You'll have a good reputation between Gmail, Yahoo, all of them. You'll start cleaning out your list from, you'll start finding the people that do not engage with your emails. You start separating them, right? These are the engaged, these are the unengaged. After that, you can clean out your list, start building it anew. Come Q4, you send to all subscribers, boom, you have more money. And you save more money too, because you're probably paying less for the amount of email subscribers you have on your email list. And also you're saving yourself the trouble of having to get out spam in the future, right? So it's kind of setting yourself up for success.
There's a hidden portion here too, right? Which is in terms of audience uploads from Klaviyo, with a list that's cleaned out and highly potent, like what you're talking about, that audience upload to any type of ad platform now becomes a much stronger upload rather than that completely unengaged piece of crap 6-figure list that you have, or 6-figure person list that you have. But you're putting it up and it's not going to get you the people that you want anyhow.
Yeah.
So there's that additional benefit too. As you're talking, I'm like, duh. There's that part as well.
Oh yeah.
It's almost like yeah,
when you integrate it with Facebook, which we love to do, because then you can retarget them. Like, imagine you just pull your 100,000 subscribers, you upload that to Facebook, and then you retarget them. You're probably going to be just flushing your money down the toilet at that point.
Yeah,
now,
totally.
For people that bounce, for example, I'm guessing those are all wrong emails to begin with, right? So is there any kind of recovery methods, if any, that you work with people that are bounce, or even spam, I guess, but spam is that's people reporting you?
To be honest, so bounces usually happen if it's a fake email address or the email address is no longer active. Obviously, the case is more so that it's a fake email address. So what I typically do is, like, when I create those engaged segments as well, I actually exclude any emails that have bounced more than 3 times, just to be safe. I'll exclude that. So I won't even send to them, honestly, because 3 times is a lot. And at 3 times, you can be pretty confident that it's going to bounce before time. So to your point though, Ray, I want to touch back on what you said. So you're a brand owner. You say, I have 100,000 people. You want me to send to like 20,000? What about the other 80,000 people on my list? They're just never going to hear from me. So here's what I recommend. The short answer is no, they will hear from you. And here's when to do it. You want to leverage your entire email list very sparsely and carefully when you know there's a lot of revenue to be made. So what I mean by that, let's say, what month is it? It's okay. Let's say the upcoming month, you have a new collection launching, or no, actually, let's say you have a 50% off sale or 20% off sale site-wide, right? Every other email you send as normal, send to that 30-day engaged, or if you want to increase it to 60-day engaged, wherever that benchmark is met, like the open rate and click rate, you can keep sending to those smaller segments. Right when it becomes that 20% off sale, where you know my goal is to make as much revenue as possible, it's okay to send to all subscribers, maybe once or twice a month, right? Because a majority of your emails, let's say you send 10 emails per month, 8 of them have really good engagement metrics, and then 2 of them don't. But the 2 of them have a ton of revenue, right? Because they're promotional emails. So I will say this, it's okay to sacrifice your engagement metrics very sparsely for revenue.
For that short-term hit, right?
Yeah, for that short-term hit. Because also another thing is what you're doing when you're sending to all subscribers maybe twice a month or during those promotional periods or new collection launches, you're actually giving them a chance to re-engage.
To go into your engage 30 or engage 60. Yes. Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a very non-linear game that needs to be played here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
Are there any good like reactivation strategies you've heard over the years that wasn't like sales specific to try to re-engage that list? I'm just curious to see if you've seen anything that worked really well.
Yeah. I mean, most of the time, I really recommend utilizing plain text emails. There's something about plain text emails that email service providers love, right? They think we're kind of fooling them in a sense when we send out plain text emails, because we're kind of sneaking around them, telling them we're an actual person, we're not a business, we're just a person sending an email, right? There's no HTML on this, there's no images on this, it's just text, right? So why I bring that up is, to your point, Ray, there's something that you can build called a sunset flow, to where when they enter that unengaged segment or list, we can send them a plain text email, say, hi, and then have like a dynamic tag in there. Hey, Ray, notice that you haven't, clicked, or we haven't heard from you in a while. Is there something that we did wrong? Or did you have any questions for me? Just let us know. You can also manage your subscriptions down here if you want to unsubscribe. It's totally fine by us. Thanks again, Justin, CEO of Right Hook. Just kidding. That's Steve.
Use your face.
Sweet, I'm going on vacay, boys.
Just kidding. No, but does that make sense? So it's like,
yes.
It's a personal letter, and the subject line can be aggressive. What I mean by aggressive, you can say like RE : like you're responding to an email, and then whatever the subject line could be. Or you can say like, hey, I had a question. Something like that.
Yeah, I've seen some really great strategies there from especially newsletter, DTC Twitter's like newsletter central. Everyone owns a newsletter. Right. Soon everyone's going to own like a TV network or something. But the platforms they use, the Beehives, the Convert Kits, the Ghost.orgs.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of really cool sunset sequence type messaging to go, hey, I try to provide as much value as possible as a creator, but I've noticed that you haven't been opening these emails anyway. You're busy, I'm busy. if you don't want to hear from me anymore, just hit this button. You'll never hear from me ever again. It's almost like a big dog energy kind of move.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But if you want to keep getting my emails, and I think it says something like, here are some of the emails that you might have missed. And then it's like value bomb. Right. Here's some of the emails that you might have missed. So if you want to keep hearing from me, click this button, and it's a re-opt-in button to confirm that they're going to keep receiving this stuff. So a bit of revealing what they could have missed out on in the past. I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I love that too. It's kind of like a win back series in a sense.
It's almost like a sunset win back. I liked it. But a really big brash, just if you want to unsubscribe, it's right here. Get out of my list.
I've also seen some apps, more so on the subscription, I think, where when someone goes to unsubscribe, there's an option of, you want to never hear from us, or you just want to pause it for 30 days or pause it for 60 days or pause it for X number of time. I don't know how well that actually works, but I think that's quite interesting as well.
I think that's interesting too, because I kind of want to attribute that to like the illusion of control in a sense. I will say I have seen like preference pages. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but
I hate preference pages.
People are trying to incorporate that now, where they kind of give their recipients the illusion of control, where it's like you click on the preference page. I only want to receive emails on Mondays through Friday, not on the weekends or during these times, or like super customized, giving them that control. But I mean, I too don't really know how effective that is either. But it's interesting to know. I mean,
for sure. Guys, we went through a lot of stuff. I don't know if you guys are watching this and kind of drowning in notes or not, but I definitely am. My mental notes are. There's sounds like a bit of homework that I got to do on our own newsletter side of things. Just to start landing this plane and wrapping up, Justin, were there any questions that we should have asked that didn't ask, just around some of those tactics or the giveaway secrets? Because you mentioned for the reply campaigns, and then also encouraging forwards. Did we miss anything there?
No.
Okay. Awesome.
That's good.
Awesome. Great. So if we can just kind of reiterate once again, what are the key things to look out for just to make sure that our emails are landing where they need to land? I think that might be a good way to just encapsulate the whole thing. Do a circle back and then land the plane.
Let me give you the bullet points. So 1, I want to say build your own email list. What I mean by that is organically, don't buy emails. Make it your own. Make sure that they opt in themselves. 2, authenticate them. DMARC, dedicated sending domain. 3, clean your email list. We just talked about with creating segments. And then 4, monitoring your engagement metrics. Open rates, click rates, spam rates, unsubscribe rates. And then playing into those 4, you can do reply to emails or forwarding emails.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Guys, in a nutshell, that's it. That's it right there. Sounds simple. Definitely not simple. So listen, if you guys watching this have any questions for Justin or our team at all around the stuff that you're trying to do here, do leave it in the comments. We will have check them and then reply to them. You'll hear from us for sure. And if you want to just pick the team's brain, just want to let you know that once a month, if you follow us on socials, especially once a month, you get to interact with our entire team on Zoom for free. All we want is your email. So to let you know when we're actually doing it. So once a month we do that. That is also a really great time to come in and just ask all the questions away. It is run live, and that way you get your question answered right then and there. And you get to hound the hell out of them if you want. I moderate that thing, so we can kind of go ham. If you want to DM me ahead of time and be like, listen, I'm going to hound Justin, I'll be like, all right, I might just let you do it. But that's once a month. Point being, if you have any questions, do let us know. We're more than happy to answer them. Rising tide lifts all boats. We want all of you to be part of those boats. Ray, Justin, thank you so much for today. We'll see you guys next time.
See you guys. Bye-bye.
Later.